We've seen math scores drop in recent years across Canada, but what can be done to help? Canadian mathematician John Mighton, known for his work to support children's successful math education, will be in Halifax this weekend at the Research Ed Canada Conference at St. Mary's University. He joins us today from Toronto. Thank you for speaking with us, John.
Thank you.
So before we dive in on how to make math more fun, can you tell us how are Canadian students doing in math?
Well, we've been slipping on the benchmarks, international scores and so on, and provincially, quite often scores are going down or flat. So unfortunately, in spite of all the efforts, we aren't making real progress, I think, in math.
And so why are we seeing a decline there?
Well, I think it's because we're not really following the science of learning. In reading, for many years, people ignored phonics. They were persuaded, teachers knew phonics worked, but they were pushed away from that by various fads and gurus. And the same thing has happened in math. We're not really following the science of learning that really tells us how kids learn math most efficiently.
So what are some ways that teachers or even parents can make math more engaging or easier to digest?
Yeah, and so those are two good questions. So a lot of people think, well, hide the math, do anything you can to make kids feel it's interesting or engaging so they have success one day. So you might do a project on skateboarding and math or whatever. But the research shows, in the real solid research shows that the best way to generate engagement is to give kids success. If they're successful in any subject, it becomes a kind of self-reinforcing and virtuous cycle where they just want to do more. There's an article in Nature Communication called the 85% Rule for Optimal Learning. We're happiest and our brains work most efficiently when we've almost got something. We're about 85% proficient, but we have to stretch ourselves a bit. And that's the zone students love to be in, and unfortunately they're not being kept in that zone. So the key to engagement is success. And then the key to success is really breaking things down into manageable chunks, like keeping kids in that 85% zone, having very well scaffolded lessons for teachers so they can make sense of the math. And as kids get stronger and stronger, you can let them struggle more, you can let them do more independent work. But we have to treat kids like novice learners. Novice learners are different from expert learners. And so the best way to play chess isn't just play the full game over and over. It's start with mini games where you learn how to move a piece, and then gradually increase the complexity. And the research shows hands down that's the best way to learn. And that's why the Research Ed conference that's happening this weekend is so exciting, because teachers got tired of being told to do things that had no evidence and didn't work. And so they started a movement around the world where they invited top researchers in cognitive science, in psychology to come and speak for free so they could learn about how to implement those principles in their classrooms. So, teachers are really driving this, and it's a very exciting conference.
And of course, John, we all learn differently. How can we in this day and age with a single teacher in these large classrooms get the kind of training needed to become a success in math?
Well, here's the odd thing is in math, I can't speak beyond math, but we actually learn we're more the same than different. I'm a mathematician. I still need things broken down into manageable chunks. I still need to practice. I'm just very fast because I've developed a lot of long-term memory and connections in my brain. And we can't mistake people who look like that. It doesn't mean you have to be born with genius. You can develop that through intensive training and practice and good teaching. So we can all learn math. We have a lot of evidence of that in jump math. We've done studies where we showed we can equalize the classroom. But you have to start at the right point for kids who are struggling. You have to quickly bring them to grade level. You have to build their confidence and make them feel that they can participate equally. And then you have to help them make sense of the math and make connections, make discoveries, but they need guidance. It's not going to happen for the vast majority of kids without the guidance of a good teacher.
And tell us about Jump Math, what that stands for. It's something that you founded more than 20 years ago now.
Yes, it's a charity, a Canadian charity, and JUMP is Junior Undiscovered Mathematical Prodigies, because we believe that almost every child can learn math at a high level, and we do have evidence of that. And we're now working with universities and school districts to give teachers the support they need so that they can help all their kids realize their really remarkable potential in mathematics. people think, oh, I'm either a math person or I'm not. It's just nonsense. We have to drop that. There's evidence suggesting math actually should be the most accessible subject for everybody if it's taught well. There should be no barriers in mathematics, and I don't know how we've managed to create this culture where people think math is hard or inaccessible.
And you yourself, you've had to overcome what you've referred to as massive math anxiety. How did you do that, and what do you say to parents and kids about this?
Well, the weird thing is I almost failed calculus at university, and I read these letters by an American poet. I was into poetry and writing, and it was, her name's Sylvia Plath. It was, she taught herself to write by training. She wrote imitations of poems. She memorized poems, and I didn't realize you could actually train or practice or do something to develop an ability in an area. So I did that in writing, and I eventually got a career in playwriting. From almost zero talent, I had the lowest mark in my creative writing class, as well as almost failing calculus. So I learned that I could train myself, and then in my 30s, I went back into math because I was always fascinated by math, and I started tutoring some kids. One of my first kids was in a remedial grade 6 class. His mom was told he could never learn math. He was just too challenged. He's now a fully tenured math professor. So I started seeing these remarkable changes in children who didn't appear to be able to learn math just by giving them a bit of extra support and help. And that changed my life because I thought maybe I could go back and do math, seeing these changes in the kids.
And John, you touched on this a little bit. Aside from being a mathematician, you are also a playwright and best-selling author, and you even have quite the connection to the movie Good Will Hunting. Tell us about that. You were supposed to be a consultant on it.
Yeah, I was supposed to be the consultant, but through a series of miscommunications, they hired someone else, and I think the director felt bad, so he put me in the movie. And one day I was on set, and Stellan Skarsgård, one of the actors, said, "Do you want some lines?" And we started improvising, and the director liked it, and so they let us do quite a bit of improvisation, and the writers liked it, the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so it was really fun to work on.
Well, we will have to leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for your time, John.
You're welcome. That was me in the background being jealous of Matt Damon's character. Yeah.
That's excellent.
And that's how I used to feel about math. I didn't feel it was really accessible. It was just beyond me. And kids shouldn't feel that. They should feel they could do anything.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Canadian mathematician John Mighton. We'll take a short break now. Much more to come after the break.